With Bitcoin being rejected from its 786 area on the Fibonacci retracement tool, we have seen an interesting pullback from many altcoins in the space. In this video, we're going to be diving into the price action of 𝗕𝗪𝗓, specifically taking a look at what to expect next with 𝗕𝗪𝗓. Guys, as we get into this video, if you do find it useful and informative, then do go ahead and hit that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then do go ahead and subscribe. Tap that bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With this said, done out of the way, let's dive right down into the technical analysis on 𝗕𝗪𝗓. As we can see, this is just a daily chart. We're not going to take a look at the weekly. We understand that the structure of the weekly is still looking very good, but we're going to be talking about what's been going on with the daily and the hourly chart. Okay, so as we can see, we have the performance of wave 3 and wave 4. Okay, so basically the high that we have achieved up here in March 2021. Down to the lows of June 2021. Okay, so basically, if we take that into consideration, that current performance there, and this allows us to put a Fibonacci retracement tool on, showing that we could see 𝗕𝗪𝗓 pushing up towards 79.7 cent. Okay, that full 4.236 extension. This is something that we've been talking about for a while and shouldn't be, strange by any of our regular viewers. The other thing that we've been talking about recently is the cup and handle. Okay, so we do actually have a full cup here. Okay, and it's a big one, so we can see that basically we have this whole cup, the pullback for the handle, and then the push to the upside. Okay, and this cup and handle has been working quite nicely for 𝗕𝗪𝗓 so far, and we should continue to see the growth of this. But obviously, with the recent pullback that has occurred in there with Bitcoin getting rejected from the 786, we can obviously see that we have had a pullback with many of the altcoins as well, and 𝗕𝗪𝗓 is included in this. Of course, it was only 2 days ago that we set a new all-time high, so we should be anticipating some major pullbacks. I say major, but some pullbacks to allow us then to continue the growth to the upside overall. And I'm going to go through what that looks like on the smaller timeframes in a moment. Overall, that cup and handle actually looks like it's taking us to about 34 cent. So if I actually take the right-hand side of our cup, just over here, down to the bottom of our cup, this actually then takes us to 34 cent, okay? But obviously the 1.618 is 33.3 cents, so I think it's going to be right in this area. We might wick it up to 34 cent, but that's ultimately where I do think we are likely to kind of see this cup and handle completely finish out, right? Big cup, handle, push up to that 1.618, okay? So 33.3 to 34 cent. That's the kind of range that we're talking about for the month of October and what our kind of expectations are. Obviously, we had a good rise up to, I think it was a high of 26.6 cent just 2 days ago. And we have started to see a bit of a pullback now. This pullback is perfectly fine. It's quite natural, but obviously it's come from an unnatural place, as in Bitcoin's pullback. So therefore, money is rolling out of the market right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to just jump over to the advice.io dashboard, and we're going to talk about the underlying data for 𝗕𝗪𝗓. Now, 𝗕𝗪𝗓 is an A3 cryptocurrency rating overall. So it's sort of pretty good standard. It's in that top tier of cryptocurrencies as per this artificial intelligence and machine learning. So we know it's in a pretty good place. And when we come down and we check the detail of it, we have an AMI-HAD ratio. This is an A2 rating, so the second best rating that advice.io can give a cryptocurrency. And basically, there's no problems with liquidity whatsoever. So liquidity is perfectly fine for 𝗕𝗪𝗓, which is actually quite interesting considering many of the other altcoins in the space are having a lot of liquidity-based problems. 𝗕𝗪𝗓 is not one of the ones that actually has this issue. And actually, you can see the liquidity is actually really good for 𝗕𝗪𝗓. Now, when we come across here, we have a fear and greed index. This is not just your general Bitcoin fear and greed index. This is a 𝗕𝗪𝗓 specific fear and greed index. And this shows you that the sentiment is actually quite negative. It's quite fearful right now. With a C1 rating, it's in the lower tier. So we do anticipate that there is going to be some volatility with people more willing to sell 𝗕𝗪𝗓 right now than actually to purchase it. And again, this is polar opposite to where it was a couple of days ago. Okay, we started to pull back down, and we can see that that narrative has changed a little bit in the space, and we have a bad sentiment in terms of fear for 𝗕𝗪𝗓. And again, a lot of that is driven just from what's been going on with many of those other altcoins. The sentiment in the entire crypto space is quite fearful right now. As we come down to a Sharpe ratio, here we have an A2 rating, right? And the Sharpe ratio is your risk-reward ratio, well above that 50-day average. The advice.io dashboard, the AI and ML here is indicating to us that the rewards outweigh the risks. So you might want to have some exposure to 𝗕𝗪𝗓. Now, obviously, I'm not a financial advisor. Chris is not a financial advisor. And it's important that you do your own research. A part of that research might be checking out the link in the description below, signing up to advice.io, and actually using this data to your advantage. So I see here that we have a Sharpe ratio, or a risk-reward ratio, that's in our favor. Rewards outweigh the risks. And yet we have a fear and greed index that's a C1, showing that there's extreme fear in the space. So when we have these two things side by side, a Sharpe ratio that's showing that the rewards outweigh the risks, and a sentiment that's incredibly fearful, this shows me that I might want to be buying up that fear and actually building a pretty good position of where things are going slightly longer term. So the fear and greed index shows you what the sentiment is feeling right now. What is the next kind of 24 to 48 hours is going to feel like. The Sharpe ratio takes you a bit longer period. It helps you understand where you are going and how you're tracking currently across a longer time period, and also allows us to understand the risk-reward elements to investing in cryptocurrency. So when we have a risk-reward ratio that's actually pretty positive and a small short-term kind of fear in the space, that's a potential opportunity to buy that fear up at a discounted rate, and then obviously ride Harmony 1 up to that fifth wave to all-time highs, right? Again, we can come down here and we can see that the profitability is an A1, so no problems with profitability overall, and the moving averages are up at an A2. So the only thing that's out of place here is that sentiment, that unreasonable amount of fear in the space right now for Harmony 1. So overall, all the other pieces of data in the background for Harmony are looking very, very good, with the exception of the fear and greed index, where it's incredibly fearful for Harmony 1 right now. All said and done, this to me basically tells me that I might want to be buying up some Harmony. Okay, so when I come back into our chart here with a big cup and handle, good target of 33 to 34 cent, what is actually causing this kind of pullback is obviously Bitcoin, but does this give us an opportunity to buy up some fear? When we jump down into our hourly, here we can see some opportunities, right? So we had this initial area just here. This was an area that we thought we're really looking to try to buy into, and before pulling back down. Now this is an area that we were wicking into, we were coming into here. We were able to basically capture this buying point just here and taking us up to the all-time high, and then we fell right back down into this bound, okay? But obviously pulling back down, we breached this support level, the previous area of support over here, where we originally pushed on through, and we came down to 21 cent support line, okay? Now we are overbought on our stochastic RSI as we approach the previous all-time high area, so the expectation here should be rejection. And I do anticipate that there's an opportunity between the 21 cent area and the 18.6 cent area on the charts. Now what I'll do is I'll jump back to our daily, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I mean, okay? Because what we have is we've left a bit of a gap behind, okay? So it looks like we're probably going to have to come back down and fill this void, okay? So we basically had all these closed bodies here, but there's nothing in between them, right? And obviously we have a wick here. So we have a couple of wicks just up here. So I'm going to just take it above that 786 area, and I'm going to take it down to about here. Okay, so this is my interesting zone that I think we are likely to have to pull into at some point to finish the gap. Or to close the gap. Now, we don't always close these gaps, but it's an interesting zone, right? No activity inside here on the daily, right? So it could be that we actually pull back into this zone, and this basically is between 20.4 and 18.8 cent, okay? So we have support wicks here, or resistant wicks here, and resistant wicks here. So that could be a good support level for us at 18.4 cent. And we have support level just up here at that upper bound at 20.4, okay? But obviously we have some interesting activity over here. We've had some wicks in here helping to close this area down. But inside this area right here, this yellow box that I've just drawn, we've had no daily activity in terms of wicks coming in or closed positions in these areas. So we should be mindful that ultimately we might come into this zone and just to finish and close that gap off, coming down to a potential low of 18.8 cent. And it could take several days to get down there, right? But there's an opportunity in that because obviously we are talking about moving up and completing that cup and handle up at 33 to 34 cent. So you could basically find a good area to basically dollar cost average a good position between 20.4 and 18.4, and then look for it to take that to new all-time highs. Of course, we could just come down and rebounce from this area, never actually closing it. So coming down, bouncing from 20.4 as well. So we're mindful over all of those scenarios. But for me, this is an interesting zone I wanted to kind of communicate with you guys because we are seeing an unreasonable amount of fear for Harmony 1 that's out of kilter to the rest of the underlying data. We have good data in terms of Sharpe ratio. Liquidity is looking pretty good. Profitability is pretty good. There's no real issues other than that sentiment and that fear that's unreasonable in the space. And we have the opportunity to potentially buy that up at a discounted rate ahead of where we're going. So there's an opportunity here, I do feel, between 20.4 and 18.4 overall. And as we come back into our hourly chart, we can really see exactly what that looks like. Okay, so we have some hours here as we're pushing on through, coming back down, just closing that gap up a little bit. But this is the area that I do think that we're likely to pull back to at some point soon. I think we're going to get rejected from the previous high area, as we can see over here. And that would have basically bringing us into about 22.4, get rejected from 22.4. And if 21 doesn't hold, then do expect us to pull down into our yellow box area for buying a fantastic opportunity to be had. So, guys, I'm going to leave the video there. If you have found it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap that bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.